The country of India is incredibly diverse. For example, when we go up into the northern regions of the country, people typically have high levels of Indo-Aryan related DNA. And when we go all the way down towards the south, towards Tamil Nadu, people typically have higher levels of Dravidian related admixture. You know, what's really interesting about the Indian genome, guys, is that they're a combination of the 3 ancestral populations that contribute to most South Asian genomes. We are going to look at the Indian genome through a variety of different time periods to understand who these people are through a genetic perspective. Over here, I've got a Stone Age DNA breakdown of the average Gujarati, and I've chosen the Gujaratis intentionally to serve as an average for this video. Interestingly, what we see is that around 50% of their DNA is ancient ancestral South Indian related. Now guys, the ancient ancestral South Indians were one of the first people to enter into the Indian subcontinent, and they contribute substantially to most South Asian genomes. As a general rule of thumb, the more south in India you go, the higher this AASI component is. And this component actually peaks in tribal groups like the Irulya, Panya, and Gond tribes. These groups show somewhat of an affinity to the Ongi and the Jarawa of the Andaman Islands, which implies that the AASI may have been related to the first wave of humans who left Africa and entered into India more than 50,000 years ago. But if we look closely at this breakdown over here, what we see is that around 50% of their DNA is Iranian farmer related. And that's because, guys, around 10,000 years ago, there was yet another migration. This time, it was characterized by agriculturalists who may or may not have originated from Iran, entering into South Asia, mixing with the AASI. These agriculturalists are referred to as Iranian related because once upon a time it was thought that they originated from Iran. But in a recent paper published in 2019, it was established that these farmers had a distinct genetic profile to the Zagrosian farmers of the Iranian plateau. Now, the mixing of these agriculturalist groups and the AASI forms a hybridized population, oftentimes coined Indus Valley related. And that's because this component was found very high in the Indus Valley people, the builders of one of the oldest civilizations the world had ever seen. This Indus Valley component forms the core of most South Asian genomes, but today actually peaks in South Indian communities like the Telugu, Velama, Velala, and the Tamil. These agriculturalist communities existed in India for many years, but then, around 3,000 years ago, a cataclysmic event occurred which would change the ethno-linguistic landscape of the region. This time, it was characterized by Bronze Age steppe pastoralists, known as the Indo-Aryans. The Indo-Aryans were the descendants of a people known as the Yamnaya, who originated in the Pontic-Caspian steppe of modern-day Russia and Ukraine more than 5,000 years ago. By around 3,000 years ago, these Indo-European people migrated into Kazakhstan, and would eventually migrate even further south into India, forming the Indo-Aryans. Today, this Indo-Aryan component peaks in North Indian groups like the Roar, the Jat, the Khatri, and the Kambodge, but can be seen in varying amounts amongst different Indian populations. This is the reason why, guys, many languages in India fall under the Indo-Aryan linguistic family, and also the reason why many Indian males belong to the haplogroup R1a, a distinctive Indo-European genetic marker. Now guys, this Indo-Aryan migration has been a topic of great controversy amongst many Indians, and that's because in Indian society today, the caste system still exists. Typically speaking, when we look into Brahmin populations, they have high levels of the steppe DNA compared to their non-Brahmin counterparts. Now, this isn't because the Indo-Aryans were better in any way. It's rather because the Indo-Aryans, just like all steppe people, were experts in horse riding technology. Not only that, they were an extremely patriarchal culture, and their culture was dominated with concepts of conquests. This is a motif that we not only see in the Indo-Aryans, but we also see it in the Mongols and the Turks, both groups that were able to conquer vast regions because of similar characteristics which I described. So just because a group has certain components of a DNA doesn't mean that it's better than its surrounding neighbors. We are all human, and our world unfortunately has been dominated by conquest and conquerors, and this is just part of human existence, guys. So again, I don't want this to be a topic of controversy regarding the video. It's just a migration that definitely did occur because we've got the linguistic and genetic evidence to back it up. But again, it's just something that happened, and we should just leave it at that rather than dwelling on it and creating separation amongst each other. We are all fundamentally mixed, and the more globalized our world becomes, the better I anticipate we are able to appreciate our differences and our diversity. So there you go, guys. For the most part, these are the key migrations that impacted the average Indian genome. And we have to take into consideration, guys, India is incredibly diverse. It's home to over 2,000 distinct ethnic groups. For example, when you go all the way towards the east, towards Bangladesh, people typically have traces of Southeast Asian related DNA, which I didn't cover in this video. And when you go all the way up towards the north, towards Himachal Pradesh, we start to detect components of Tibetan-related admixture. And as always, guys, if you've done an existing DNA test like 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage, and you're interested in learning about all the ancient civilizations you're related to, I offer comprehensive DNA breakdowns where I can compare your DNA with samples from different time periods to give you a very, very comprehensive breakdown about your ancient ancestry. The benefit in this is you get a visualization about what your DNA is composed of. It tells you the different groups that contributed to your genome. So if you're interested in unlocking the secrets of your ancient ancestry, make sure you check the link out of my bio.